Hey, it's Mark again with another episode of Brands Investors Love. And I want to tell you a little story. The other day, I was on LinkedIn and I saw a video that absolutely knocked me out of my seat. It was a gentleman who was talking about the spoken pitch. And I see a lot of videos and I see a lot of pitches. And what this gentleman said about the importance of listening and body language and being more intuitive and dialing up your emotional intelligence when you're pitching was mind blowing. That gentleman was Jeremy Barr. And I picked up the phone right away and I said, I've got to have you on this podcast. And luckily, I found out he's an investor. He runs two companies that are of particular interest to any entrepreneur who is perhaps looking for investment or just trying to build their company. There's Rocket Mindset, which is a coaching business for entrepreneurs, and then Montelier Capital. When those entrepreneurs come out of the coaching program, there might be a shot at getting invested. So, Jeremy, welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm so honored to have you here.
Thank you for having me, Mark. I'm honored to be here.
We had a conversation before, and before this podcast, and I just couldn't believe the sort of the synergies and the way you saw the world, not just as somebody who's a numbers person, but also a person who is very much about the people, about the intuition, about sort of the whole emotional side of building a business. And I thought that was super refreshing.
I'm glad you liked it. I am obsessed about the people science and the people skills and the human journey that you need behind a founder and brand. So I love that we're talking about it.
You know, it's funny because a lot of incubators, they hire me to coach their entrepreneurs, and there's almost like a template. You know, the guy Kawasaki, 10 slides you'll need and stuff, and it's almost like rote. It's like they're school children being told to present on this, and you're going, you guys are done before you ever started because you're doing this in such a bad way. And if the idea doesn't captivate, there's no chance of it ever selling.
Yep, 100%. Yeah, the scripted kind of eight to 10 standard slides of a pitch deck is something that I'm not interested in. A lot of people will say, you know, can I send you my pitch deck and can I get investment? And I say, I don't look at pitch decks. I want to hear it conversationally from you. I want to be able to read your body language and understand your passion. So I don't look at pitch decks.
Now, that wasn't what we wanted to talk about today, but I really want to go into this and I know we'll have further conversations. But what I really want to get into today, you have an opinion on the sort of a brand that an investor looks for. So, you know, because entrepreneurs are saying, well, yeah, I've got great profit, I've got great revenue. Why do I need a brand? And what goes into the brand? Do I have a logo? Do I have a tagline? Do I have a little jingle? Do I got a truck with some paint on it? What do I need? And so it's always refreshing to hear it from the perspective of the consumer, in this case, the investor. So the floor is yours. What do you look for in a brand?
Thank you, Mark. Yeah, this is something I'm very obsessive about, in particular about a brand. At the end of the day, isn't going to be the colors. It's not going to be the t-shirts. It's not going to be just your customer service. It's going to be how you make that customer feel. At the end of the day, it's how you make that customer feel, and that's from a human lens too. It's human to human. At the end of the day, is when you look at someone and you listen to them, listen to their words, the customer's words, their eye contact. If you have this in person, if you can see their eye contact, body language, tone of voice, and micro expressions, those four I'm always looking for, right? When you're doing customer service, or when you're a founder talking to customers or on a sales call, etc., really listening to that customer and and understanding them and hearing them in their words. A lot of times I'll say copy paste the words from the customer, whether it's verbal or whether it's in a testimonial or in a message to you, and put it on your landing page and your top of funnel copy. Because this is what's going to, at scale, show your brand of how the customer feels. So when you do this, when you absorb what the customer is saying at a single unit level, then you're going to put it out at scale. And so how you make that customer feel is the core of your brand. Everything else, colors, logos, brand associations, and brand partnerships with other people, is an accelerant. So there's a big difference between a core of your brand and the accelerant. The core of your brand is how you make that customer feel. And that comes from you listening to their particular words, not looking in the thesaurus and saying, oh, that's basically the same thing, taking the exact same thing. I've run funnels before at $100,000 media spend a day spent. $100,000 a day was spent. And in a particular hour bucket, we changed the words weight loss or losing weight to losing belly fat. Just by changing it to belly fat, We made $15,000 more in a single hour bucket, where we used to make $10,000 in that hour. We made $15,000 more. So it was a total of $25,000 just by changing a single word. So when we pay attention to brand, when I'm looking at brand for people, I want to know that when I'm looking to invest in somebody, I want to know that a founder is listening obsessively to the customer in their exact words. If you change the word based on a thesaurus, you're going to fail to listen to the customer in their words. Because if you look at it from a neuron level, and I work with, I've done other speaking events with some doctors who have labs on this, right? Words get coded in our brains, in our neurons, based on how we experience them. So words are very, very different. When a billion neurons will fire in my head, I'll say 8 words to somebody else, and a billion neurons fire differently in their head based on how they have absorbed that word. So we really have to listen to the customer. That's the core of being able to make that customer feel good. And that's the core of your entire brand. And when you can do that, listening to the customer at scale, that's how you get a scalable brand. And so for a founder that's starting out and growing their brand into a massive company, I've been at the $1 million and $1 billion companies, D2C, B2B, public and private, I've been operated all of them, CTO, COO, CEO, now VC investor. And at scale, brand is the thing that carries throughout all of them. So you're going to delegate a lot of jobs. When you're starting up as a startup founder, you're going to be wearing a lot of hats, and then you're going to start giving away the hats as a typical giving away the hats, and you're going to delegate nearly everything. One of the things you will not delegate, you will have brand people, but you will not delegate your personal brand. You're going to start from day one. Before people come and pitch me and they ask for money, can I get $500,000? Can I get $1 million? Whatever. I'm always saying, before they build their product, go build your personal brand. Go build up your LinkedIn audience, go build up your follower count, go build up your likes and comments. That shows you're listening to the customer, and that the customer is not just, that the customer is understanding you in what you're saying. You could be speaking about Ferraris and Lamborghinis and expertise all day long in whatever your thing is, but if they don't hear you in their words and understand you in words, you're not going to build your brand. And so before even asking for investment, go build your brand. Pick a social media platform, listen to the customer, obsessively answer all their questions. Commenting, you should be spending a lot of time daily, several hours a day, commenting on other people's profiles, showing your expertise in the world, showing that you know your stuff, attracting people to you, becoming a gravity ball, like I talk about in some of the videos. Every founder needs to be a gravity ball to attract investors, partners, employees, and customers. So listen to the customer, start there, build up a following, build up a brand of, you know how to listen to customers and solve their problems. And then you're going to build a product and service around that. And you're going to start to get sales from that, because people already recognize you as the expert, the authority, which is going to lower your CAC and increase your LTV and give you a nice CAC to LTV ratio. And then you're going to come to an investor, a VC investor or an angel investor, a VC investor like me or an angel investor. And then you're going to ask for accelerant money, not experiment money. A lot of people come way too early asking for money, and they say, here's my idea, and ideas are plenty. And a lot of people know their art and their science of their product or their service, but they haven't understood the human journey and how to be a great founder. How do you manage teams of people? How do you manage customer acquisition? How do you manage company operations? How do you manage customers at scale when not every customer you're supposed to please? You're supposed to find the customers, just like relationships in life. You find the people that are aligned for you. When you get big enough, you're gonna have 1 million people that hate you and 1 million people that love you. And you have to be able to stand for your morals and values, because those values, you understanding the human condition and the human journey, is extremely important at the core of your brand. And you starting out with doing that, when you start talking to those first 5 customers, pre-product and pre-service, and then all the way doing it out at 1 million customers, at 10 million customers, at 100 million customers, that brand is going to extend all the way through. So brand is extremely important. It's where you start, and it's where you carry things through, and it's the thing you will not be delegating.
Now, I just want to go to, I want to pull one piece apart. There are 20 questions I want to ask, but I promised you there's a quick in and quick out podcast that people get super, super focused advice. There's 20 things I want to ask you, but the one I'm going to ask, why is it so hard for people to listen when it comes to their own product and brand?
A lot of times people get so caught up in, they think that they're right, or they're really excited about their product or service, and they forget about other people. A lot of people in the world in general have a lot of taking energy, and I'll read this on the calls when people are pitching me. Do they have taking energy or giving energy? And if you have giving energy, you're gonna attract a lot of people to you, because you give, obviously, and people are gonna like that, right? And so a lot of people are either obsessed about their product and service, and so they're not focused on other people, or they haven't realized the primary way to grow, and you have to do this to grow, is to give to other people. And giving to them means listening to them, and it means asking questions about them, about their life, etc. This goes for hiring, this goes for customers. You have to ask questions about other people and listen to them, and realize that that is your gateway to getting customers, investors, and everybody else, is asking questions and listening.
You know, it's funny too, because I'm old enough to remember, back before electricity, the way we used to do advertising and outreach and testing was so artificial, but there were elements of the same thing in direct mail where you said, I'm going to try 5 different messages, see which coupons come back. This one will have 5 times more coupons. This one will have half the coupons. But today we live in a time where feedback is virtually instant, and it is such a massive advantage. And people, it's almost like that old anecdote where the man is pointing towards an eagle, and the dog, all he's looking at is the man's finger. You're looking at the wrong thing here. If you're going to test, don't test orange buttons versus green buttons. Test the emotional appeal. And like you said, $15,000 uptick in 1 hour based on changing from weight to belly fat. And that is just such a reflection. If you go to an investor or somebody who's going to be a partner and say, these are the things I found out, it's going to blow their brains out that you have that insight into people. I'm sure when people come up to you and say, listen, this is the stuff I've learned through trial and error and instant feedback, I bet it has an impression on you.
Yeah, when people are showing me that they're listening and they're iterating quickly, we want people to fail often. We want people to iterate quickly, especially in a fast-moving world, whether it's mentor market is growing and founders are getting better, or whether artificial intelligence is speeding things up. People have to be able to fail often and move volume of iterations of testing that ad, testing that product, testing that way of listening to or talking to the customer.
Awesome. You know what? This has been a mind-blowing experience. Again, like listening to that talk that you gave, which I will link in the show notes for this, about emotional intelligence and listening in a pitch, which it's a game changer. But this has been awesome, and it has given me and the people who are wanting to build a brand investors love some immediately actionable advice. Get out there, shut up, and open your ears, because it'll do you a world of good.
I'm glad it's helpful for everyone. Thank you for having me, Mark.
Thank you so much. Take care.